They say the world is your oyster, until it slams shut in your face. In 2025, some countries aren't just tired of American tourists. They're actively locking them out and torching the welcome mat. Brace yourself, because what's ahead isn't just eye-opening, it's deeply personal. Here are the countries now telling Americans, you're not welcome. Number 10, North Korea. Planning to snap a selfie and make memories? In North Korea, that could land you behind bars, permanently. This nation isn't merely rejecting American travelers. It has imposed a full ban on U.S. passport holders setting foot on its territory until at least August 2026. That iconic red passport? Might as well be toxic. And if you somehow make it inside, dropping something as innocent as a Bible in your hotel could earn you 15 years in a labor camp. No embassy, no emergency hotline, no rescue mission. Your only thread of protection? Sweden, who represents U.S. interests, but even they get stonewalled by Pyongyang. The U.S. State Department even advises Americans to draft their wills before considering travel. Yes, seriously, write your will. So unless disappearing under mysterious circumstances is on your bucket list, avoid it. North Korea doesn't just shut the door, it locks it, swallows the key, and dares you to come knocking. Number 9, Syria. Feel like playing cat and mouse with warlords, missiles, and mayhem? Syria is now firmly on the "absolutely not" list for Americans. No U.S. embassy, no consular support, and definitely no second chances. Since the United States withdrew in 2012, things have spiraled. In late 2024, militants seized control of half the country, and even adrenaline junkies are backing out. Tourist visa? Not a chance. And if you somehow get in, make sure your phone doesn't connect to the wrong cell tower. You might get mistaken for a spy. You'll find landmines, kidnappers, and buildings held together by nothing but hope and tape. Still considering it? The U.S. government openly advises you to write a will before stepping into Syrian soil. Yes, it's that dangerous. Syria isn't just off limits, it's a spring-loaded trap. And once you fall in, escaping might be harder than you imagined. Number 8. Libya. Craving adventure? Try landing somewhere planes are forbidden. Libya isn't just closing doors, it's flipping the whole terminal sign to, "Absolutely not, U.S." Citizens are outright banned from Libyan airspace. No exaggeration. The FAA has prohibited American flights over Libya through at least 2028. So unless you're skydiving in with a death wish, it's a dead end. The embassy? Evacuated years ago. Since 2014, American diplomats haven't stepped foot in Libya. The closest help you'll find is in Malta or Tunisia, but if trouble hits, you're on your own. No embassy visits, no special forces extraction, just you and whichever militia controls the neighborhood that day. Now here's where things really heat up. In May 2025, Tripoli appeared calm, until rival militias turned the capital into a war zone overnight. 8 civilians dead, dozens injured, and just like that, your peaceful history tour turns into a live-action crisis. Abductions? Common. Militia groups treat foreign passports like winning lottery tickets. You don't have to be wealthy, just foreign enough to draw attention. Americans are especially prized for ransom or propaganda. And even if you avoid being kidnapped, abandoned landmines are still scattered across cities like post-conflict confetti. This isn't a holiday, it's a battlefield disguised as a tourist spot. Help? It's not coming, not from locals, not from your embassy, and certainly not from above. So if Libya was on your 2025 vacation list, take a permanent marker and scratch it out. You're not just uninvited, you're stepping into a live combat zone with no safety net. The only souvenirs you'll bring home are trauma and maybe a headline. Another American caught in the crossfire. Quick pause. If you're still watching and still stunned, don't forget to like and subscribe. Trust me, it helps more than you know. Number 7. Yemen. Craving real danger? Great. Just make sure your travel goals include dodging missiles, navigating cholera outbreaks, and trying to figure out which armed faction owns the next checkpoint. Yemen isn't simply unsafe, it's an explosion of chaos wrapped around a crumbling government. The U.S. Embassy has been shuttered since 2015. If you get stranded, rescue isn't coming. Unless you've got 3 wishes and a genie lamp, you're on your own. Sana'a is under Houthi control. The south is split between multiple militias. Terrorist networks like Al-Qaeda and ISIS aren't in hiding, they're part of the daily scenery. Still thinking about going? Here's a wake-up call. Americans, especially dual citizens, have been detained without cause, without trial, and without contact. Some vanish for weeks, others for longer. Hospitals? Practically non-existent. Yemen's healthcare system is barely functioning. Cholera is back, measles is spreading, and polio has resurfaced like it never left. Need surgery? Your best bet might be a painkiller and duct tape. As for landmines, they're everywhere. The countryside is decorated with them like grim ornaments from years of war. You might be heading out to photograph ruins and wind up stepping on a live explosive placed by rebels just last month. The US government is crystal clear. If you're still in Yemen, get out, immediately. Flights are rare and often dangerous. If you insist on staying, they suggest you write a will, purchase full-scale medical evacuation insurance, and brace for disaster. That's not just a warning, it's a final notice. So if you're dreaming of uploading that perfect Middle East photo, maybe aim for Oman instead. Because Yemen doesn't need no entry signs. It sends smoke, gunfire, and chaos to make its message loud and clear: stay away. US passports are treated like contraband in some places. There's no embassy, no quick escape route. And if you're detained, which happens more often than you'd think, your best shot is a Swiss diplomat knocking days later. Maybe. Things escalated in June 2025 when Israeli airstrikes triggered a full-blown crisis. Iran responded by snapping its airspace shut like a steel trap. Commercial flights vanished overnight. Hundreds of Americans had to abandon their plans and escape overland through Armenia, Azerbaijan, or Turkey, and even that wasn't smooth. Travelers reported being detained by border guards, having phones confiscated, and enduring, friendly, interrogations that lasted for hours. Thinking of bringing a journal, camera, or even your phone? Think twice. Anything remotely political can get you flagged. Iranian authorities are notorious for rifling through personal devices. If your search history mentions the US and Iran, brace yourself for an uncomfortable meeting with security forces. And just a heads up, sarcasm and humor don't translate well under interrogation. Dual nationals face even steeper risks. Iran doesn't recognize dual citizenship, so if you were born there or have Iranian roots, they may completely disregard your American identity. You could be trapped, unable to leave without a government-issued exit permit, which could take weeks, if it's even granted at all. Protests are common and unpredictable. They're not festive gatherings, they can explode into violence at any moment. Just being nearby as a foreigner makes you a prime target. Add in a strained healthcare system and threats from terrorist groups in border regions, and it's a recipe for disaster. Still thinking of going? Ask yourself this: are you ready for a years-long political chess match over your release? Because once you're in, getting out might take more than a plane ticket, it might take international headlines. Number 5. Russia. Choose the wrong city in Russia, and you might not return for years. For Americans in 2025, visiting Russia isn't just risky, it's practically a trap. Explosions are still happening, missiles are still flying, and tourists? Forget red carpets, expect red tape and prison bars. Travel warnings from the US aren't just urgent, they're blaring. The message is clear: do not travel. Not because of the cuisine or the cold, but because you could vanish into a legal maze with no one able to help. Arbitrary arrests are happening. People have been detained for no reason, interrogated for hours, and denied access to US embassy staff. This isn't fearmongering, it's reality. Planning to use your bank card? Good luck. Thanks to sanctions, US debit and credit cards are worthless. You'll need to carry cash, and if that's stolen, you're broke and stuck. Got dual citizenship? That's a whole other nightmare. If you were born in Russia or have Russian heritage, the government might refuse to recognize your American passport. You could be blocked from leaving, or worse, drafted into military service. That's not a hypothetical. It's official policy. Don't expect a cavalry either. U.S. consulates have closed down, and the embassy in Moscow is running on minimal staff. You could call for help, but no one may answer, and by then, officials probably have your phone. You're not on vacation. You're trying to stay alive. With drone strikes near borders, terror attacks in public spaces, and increasing hostility toward foreigners, Russia has become a high-risk zone with no safety net. Planning a visit in 2025? Think again. This is no tourist destination. It's a no-fly zone for anyone who values their safety, freedom, or sanity. Step in, and you might not be stepping out. Before we move on to the next country closing its doors to Americans, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, it only gets more intense from here. Number 4. Venezuela. Step off the plane in Caracas, and you might as well be wearing a bullseye. In 2025, Venezuela is more than just unstable, it's hostile. Being American can brand you a spy, a threat, or worse, a political pawn. Welcome to the blacklist. The U.S. closed its embassy there in 2019, which means you're on your own. No consular help. No emergency contact. No one at the gate when trouble starts. You're walking into a high-stakes game with zero support. Wrongful detentions are surging. Americans have been jailed for simply looking suspicious. Some are held without charges, others are tortured for information. We're talking beatings, waterboarding, solitary confinement, and it's all documented. But that's just the start. Kidnapping is a booming industry. Gangs, crooked officials, and even if you're thinking, I'll just stick to the city, go ahead. But know this. Even Kabul has seen suicide bombings and armed attacks right in government zones. No part of Afghanistan is safe. The infrastructure? It's barely holding together. Hospitals are operating in survival mode. Water systems are collapsing. And if you catch something like cholera or measles, both of which are making a comeback, the nearest medical help might be hours away, assuming it's functioning at all. The U.S. State Department isn't sugarcoating anything. Their advice to anyone already in Afghanistan is simple: get out now. Flights are scarce. Land routes are extremely risky. Even reaching the border is a gamble. But staying? That's like playing with gasoline and hoping the match misses. And don't even think about cracking political jokes or posting edgy content online. The regime monitors everything. Foreigners caught with content the authorities don't like have vanished into detention centers, some without charges, others without sunlight for months. Afghanistan isn't just unstable, it's hostile, unpredictable, and brutal. Tourists don't belong here. And if you go in expecting a wild story to share, you might never get to tell it. Number T2. Whoa. Iraq. Step off the plane in Iraq and your sightseeing trip could turn into a hostage crisis before you even grab your suitcase. In 2025, Iraq isn't just dangerous, it's a minefield of red flags, both literal and figurative. Terror groups, militias, and anti-American extremists aren't hiding in shadows. They're in plain sight and fully armed. That secure zone you may have heard about? Rockets hit there too. The U.S. still has an embassy in Baghdad, technically. But in mid-2025, staffing was slashed again due to escalating tensions. So if you need emergency help, good luck. You're practically sending smoke signals into the void. And if you're kidnapped, and it happens more than you'd think, your name could become just another pawn in someone's political chess match. Flying out isn't much of an option either. The FAA has restricted American planes from flying below 32,000 feet over Iraq. Translation: if you're stuck, you're on your own, scrambling over land through militant-controlled roads and sketchy checkpoints. Thinking of heading north to explore the Kurdistan border? Be careful. Cross into Syria illegally, and you're looking at a mandatory 10-year prison sentence, minimum. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Ambulances are few and far between. Power, water, and basic medical supplies? Nothing is guaranteed. If you break your leg or catch something like cholera, you'd better have packed your own personal medic. And your travel insurance? It won't cover drone strikes or IEDs. In 2025, Iraq isn't whispering, "Stay away." It's shouting it with every checkpoint, air raid siren, and crumbling wall. You won't collect memories here, just trauma, if you're lucky enough to leave. Number 1. Somalia. Planning a trip to Somalia? You might as well toss your passport in a fire and write your own hostage note. Somalia in 2025 isn't just closed, it's bolted shut, boarded up, and guarded by rooftop snipers. High risk? No, this is zero chance of survival if you end up in the wrong neighborhood, which is basically the whole country. Mogadishu is the safest place, and that's only because U.S. embassy staff don't leave the airport compound. Not because they're paranoid, because outside those walls, it's chaos. Armed gangs, al-Shabaab terrorists, and warlords own the streets. Terror attacks are common, bloody, and intentional. In March 2025 alone, a hotel bombing and mass shooting in Beledweyne killed over 20 people. That wasn't a fluke, it was business as usual. Road trips? Forget it. Every major road is a death trap littered with illegal checkpoints, ambushes, and kidnappers. Piracy? Still thriving off the coast. That tropical beach daydream? You'll need a military escort. Medical care is laughable, if it even exists. Ambulances are rare. Hospitals may not have electricity, staff, or even basic supplies like bandages. If you get injured, you're on your own. The US government has made it clear, do not go. And if you're already in Somalia, leave immediately. No cultural explorer vibes. No Instagram story worth the risk. Just leave before your name ends up in international headlines under "Missing American in Militia-Controlled Zone." Somalia in 2025 isn't a tourist destination. It's a survival gauntlet, and you're not equipped for it. There are no consular rescues, no neutral zones, and no retries. Cross this one off your bucket list for good, or it might be the last list you ever make. The world's getting unpredictable, and some places just aren't worth the risk. If this list opened your eyes, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns. Stay sharp. Stay safe. Catch you in the next one.